Jumping straight into it, we start with Aaron Loop inside the Incognito Choice Pack in your Season 2 XP Reward Path. 2 of these choice packs will be unsellable, and then the last 2 will be sellable cards. Aaron Loop should be your #1 priority when it comes to the unsellable cards that you're going to lock towards that Set 2 collection. Aaron Loop is a relief pitcher, one that is left-handed as well, so those 2 things are very crucial in Season 2 because it benefits from Trevor Hoffman's boost. But looking at his attributes, he doesn't need to benefit from the boost because he already has a maxed out hit per 9 and a maxed out pitching clutch. Along with that, he has an amazing arsenal in a sinker, cutter, circle change, slurve, and I don't know what it is about his delivery, but it makes him unhittable. #2 might surprise a lot of people, but I honestly believe that Johnny Damon is the best incognito card when it comes to hitters. 1, he has max out clutch. So with runners in scoring position, that PCI is going to be enormous. But without runners in scoring position, he's still going to have a good PCI, regardless of whether it's a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher. When it comes to the vision, 110 vision is also amazing as it allows you to stay alive in counts where you foul pitches off. When we're looking at the fielding is what leaves a lot to be desired. He starts off with gold reaction out in center field, but unfortunately silver fielding. But keep in mind that you are going to need some new outfielders once Set 2 ends and Set 3 begins, because most of the outfielders that we love right now will no longer be available unless you use them as a wildcard slot. Continuing on with Johnny Damon, although, he has himself 90 speed, so a very fast runner on the base paths as well as a very fast person to have in the outfield. In addition to all that, he also has all the quirks that you would want on a hitter that makes him just that much valuable. At 3, we have ourselves Nicholas Castellanos. He has himself 112 clutch, which is great whenever there are runners in scoring position. All his power is above 100, which is also phenomenal. And then his contact numbers are all above 100 as well. All of those are phenomenal. He has 74 fielding and 65 reaction. So silver fielding animations and then bronze reaction animations and 67 speed. The reason why he's #3 instead of 2 is because of the differences when we look at the defensive attributes. One thing I love about Nicholas Castellanos is he's very versatile. He can play first base, third base, or left field. Another reason that he's #3 and not #2 for me is because he only has 1 quirk, and that quirk is first pitch hitter. If he was stacked out with the same amount of quirks as Johnny Damon, I'm telling you, we would be having a whole different conversation right now. 4 and 5 are interchangeable. It depends on what it is you need on your squad. If you need a starting pitcher, and we're talking about a #4, #5 starting pitcher, then Shane Bieber is a good option. He's not a great option, but a good option. He has a 106 hit per 9 and a 111 pitching clutch. Both of those numbers are great. He throws a 4-seam, knuckle curve, cutter, slider, circle change, so he has everything you want. The only thing he's missing is truthfully a sinker. The only unfortunate thing about Shane Bieber, and the reason why he's a 4/5, is he just doesn't have the velocity that's gonna blow past hitters when you're playing on higher difficulties, so you're gonna be depending more on how you mix the pitches rather than him overpowering. Shane Bieber is interchangeable at the 4th spot with Anthony Rendon. I'd go as far as to say that they're tied, but I'm gonna go ahead and put Anthony Rendon as #5. Anthony Rendon also has amazing clutch and amazing contact. The problem with me is he plays one of the corner infields, being third base, and there we have some stacked out cards, one that is absolutely free to get in Matt Chapman, and the other one that you have to grind a little bit, but also absolutely free to get in Chipper Jones. And I don't think there is any way that you go ahead and take out Chipper Jones or Matt Chapman for Anthony Rendon at third base, despite Anthony Rendon having some good defensive attributes over there and then having good speed. He also has no quirks, and that to me also damages his rankings a lot. Number 6 and 7, we're not going to get too deep into it. I don't like the fact that his clutch is a 76. That means with runners in scoring position, you are in a world of hurt. Also, if you're not using him as a leadoff hitter, then that isn't going to help you. His fielding at a 97 is amazing for shortstop with 92 reaction as well. So definitely could be a budget shortstop, and he has 94 speed. He also has 2 quirks, which are excellent. Number 7 is Tony Clark because he's a first baseman and has no secondary position. So it's either first base or DH. Doesn't give you a lot of versatility. His clutch is also horrendous as well. The only really thing or the only things that really benefit him are the fact that he has good quirks and he's a switch hitter. Before we get into the Kaiju pack, please let me remind you to hit that like button, red subscribe button, notification bell, aiming for 30,000 subscribers before the start of June. Also check out the description for the Twitch, Discord, social medias, and how to become a member. In the Kaiju pack, this might be surprising, but Monte Irvin is actually the best card. He has great contact and max out clutch as well. He also is more reverse splits when it comes to his power, as he is better against right-handers than versus left-handers. He plays primary left field, but he has 84 fielding and 79 reaction, so gold fielding animations and then silver reaction animations until you parallel him up one. Then it's gold in terms of fielding and reaction animations. The reason why I love this card so much is not only can he play you the entire outfield and play it well, at least with 76 speed included, but he can also play you the corner infields, and he has amazing quirks as well that should be able to help out anyone that is starting brand new in set 2. George Brett is also amazing. He plays third base primary but can play you first and shortstop as well, has max out clutch, good contact, and then good power versus right-handers. The reason why he's number 2 is because of the aforementioned Matt Chapman as well as Chipper Jones. And if you're not using Chipper Jones as your wild card slot and you're using somebody else, then George Brett is probably someone you might think about. When we look at his quirks are amazing as well, similar to Monte Irvin, but I think George Brett actually beats him slightly in terms of the quirks. Number 3 is going to be John Franco. He's a closing pitcher, 104 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch. The pitching clutch is what's really ideal here. He has a 5-pitch mix in a screwball, sinker, slider, 4-seam, and then a circle change. In terms of the quirks, he doesn't really have anything that's gonna benefit him at all too much, and he is a closing pitcher, so he doesn't benefit from Trevor Hoffman's boost, but in set 3, Trevor Hoffman is not going to be someone you worry about anymore. Similar to the last pack are interchangeable. I have Brian Roberts as number 4 because he's a switch hitting second baseman that has diamond fielding animations and diamond reaction animations with 91 speed. He also has 106 clutch, which is pretty good. And then his contact numbers versus left, of course you would want a little bit more, but it's good enough. In terms of the quirks, he also has decent quirks that will help you out whenever you are hitting. Number 5 is Corey Kluber, and this was actually my first pick, but if I were to start a brand new team, then I would go ahead and have second thoughts because those other hitters are actually really good as well. But if you need a number 4 or number 5, similar to Shane Bieber, Corey Kluber is going to be there, and I would place him higher than Shane Bieber if we're being honest. He has a 102 hit per 9 and an 88 pitching clutch. So the 88 pitching clutch is just what strikes me and throws me a little bit off when it comes to ranking him so high. His arsenal, though, is amazing. He has the 3 meta fastballs that you would want in the sinker, the cutter, the 4-seam, and he also has the circle change and slurve, so the 2 off-speed movements that you would want in a starting pitcher. Number 6 is going to be Blake Snell. Despite having a good hit per 9 and pitching clutch, he doesn't have outlier on the fastball, and he throws a slider, curveball, circle change, so only one fastball is not really doable, especially as you get into higher difficulties. Number 7 is going to be Sean Green. I don't have to really say too much. Just look at the clutch and look at the vision. As you go up in higher difficulties, vision matters a lot more because it helps you if you have outer PCI on to make you feel like you have a bigger PCI than you actually do. But he does have decent quirks. He wouldn't be a bad option. He would just be my last option when we go to the rankings. In the XP Boss pack, I have Mariano Rivera as the number 1 option. He has a 118 hit per 9 and a 125 pitching clutch. He throws a cutter, a 4-seam, a sinker, slider, changeup. So he has a 5-pitch arsenal, very similar to Kenley Jansen, I would say. And Kenley Jansen is also going to be one of the best relievers, but he's absolutely free to get. I would definitely stack in these 2 righties inside my bullpen, despite both of them being closing pitchers, because in set 3, Trevor Hoffman, you're not going to worry about him anymore. At number 2, surprisingly, I have Grady Sizemore. He is a great defensive center fielder, has 84 speed, so that's also good. 100 clutch is going to boost his contact versus left, but downgrade his contact versus right whenever there are runners in scoring position. And then he also has decent quirks that should be able to help you out. The reason I have him as number 2 is because if you think about it, since we're going to be losing a ton of outfielders we probably use in set 3, Grady Sizemore could be a good replacement if you're still using Jazz Chisholm or Ken Griffey Jr. and you're not going to be using them as the wild card slot. At number 3, I have Chase Utley. Now, Chase Utley surprisingly doesn't have 100 clutch or over 100 clutch, but without runners in scoring position, his clutch is actually pretty good. So he's looking like he's either going to be a leadoff hitter or the second hitter inside your lineup. At second base, he has the best animations and the best reactions, since both of those are 99s. He also has 75 speed and a ton of quirks that are going to benefit you greatly. Number 4 and 5 inside of this choice pack, they're interchangeable. You can either go with Greg Maddux, but Greg Maddux is similar to Corey Kluber, where he's going to be a 4 or a 5, especially at the higher difficulties where everyone is cracked out of their minds and speed is what kills. He does have 104 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch. The pitching clutch is going to help him out greatly, and he has great control of his pitches. The only problem is he doesn't throw any of those pitches at a good enough speed where you're going to be consistently blowing them past opponents. Number 5 is Josh Donaldson, and before you guys kill me for putting Josh Donaldson at number 5, yes, he is probably the best hitter out of all of them. The only thing that sucks about him is similar to previous third basemen that we have seen. If you have Chipper Jones, you most likely are using Chipper Jones as the wild card slot. Therefore, Josh Donaldson would either be a first baseman or a shortstop, and there are a ton of better options available at those two positions for you to go ahead and waste a pick on this. Not only that, but he doesn't have any quirks at all. And yes, quirks are not the end all be all, but quirks help out tremendously sometimes when it comes to hitting an extra base hit or putting the ball over the wall, even if you do have bad timing or a bad swing in general. Inside of the rank pack, we have Brooks Raley. He has a good arsenal, a good hit per 9, and a good pitching clutch. He would be the number 1 option. At number 2 is obviously Bill Mazeroski. Since these guys are 90 overalls, the only one that could really benefit is going to be Brooks Raley if you're using him in set 2 with the Trevor Hoffman boost. In the wild card pack, Michael Young would be your number 1 unsellable pick because he has max out clutch, and then with runners not being in scoring position, he still has amazing contact numbers, decent power numbers. At shortstop, not the greatest defensive shortstop in the world, but you can slot him at second base or even third base if you really wanted to, and then he also has decent quirks. Jon Gray obviously is going to be the second option. 97 hit per 9, 85 pitching clutch, 97 miles per hour fastball, but no outliers, so that hurts him tremendously. Slider, circle change, curveball, very similar to Blake Snell. In the championship series pack, it's going to be based on what you like. I think that Cliff Lee deserves to be number 1 despite having a horrible hit per 9 and a horrible pitching clutch. He's a left-handed starting pitcher that is going to be similar to Madison Bumgarner if you guys had great success with Madison Bumgarner. Number 2 would be Mike Schmidt, and he runs into that third base propaganda. Yes, I know, I've said it a lot. He also has 91 clutch, so not the greatest clutch in the world, and versus right-handers, 84 contact, and the majority of pitchers you're going to face are right-handers, and I don't like his swing personally. In the ranked pack, number 1 is going to be Nolan Ryan, 113 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch, and he only has outlier on the fastball. Yes, the 12-6 and circle change are basically pitches that move horizontally, or vertically, so that's going to be the same movement, but he throws them at 2 different speeds, and with the fastball having outlier on it and the sinker not having outlier on it, the fastballs are going to look completely different when it comes to timing them up. I'm telling you, he's gonna be a nightmare on any difficulty. Number 2 would be Stan Musial. I mean, maxed out contact, maxed out clutch, and then the power numbers are amazing too. The only real knock on Stan Musial is going to be his defensive numbers. He's most likely a first baseman rather than a right fielder or a designated hitter, and then his quirks are amazing. Last but not least is going to be Ian Kinsler. Has 101 clutch, 96 contact versus right, 95 fielding, 95 reaction. You can get yourself a switch hitting second baseman that is going to be very similar to Ian Kinsler. The only thing that Ian Kinsler really has on someone like Brian Roberts or even Chase Utley is that he has a couple of more quirks. In the flawless pack, Justin Verlander should be your number 1 pick. He throws a 4-seam, 12-6 slider, circle change cutter, great arsenal, 108 hit per 9, 102 pitching clutch, and he does have outlier on the fastball. Since set 1 cards are going to be leaving, he could easily replace your Bob Gibson. Number 2 option is going to be Frank Thomas, despite him being a first base / DH. He has great contact numbers, except versus righties. Whenever there are no runners in scoring position, it drops off slightly from his clutch, but 111 clutch is still going to be good enough. Also, he has amazing quirks that are going to help you tear the cover off the ball. Last but not least is Evan Longoria. There have been a ton of third basemen that are viable to use. And Evan Longoria, I wouldn't waste my time going ahead and picking him up because he has the same problem as Josh Donaldson. He just doesn't have any quirks whatsoever. But then the attributes in terms of hitting as well as his defense, they're all great. In the Set 2 Collections choice pack, we have ourselves the big unit as my number 1 option. 110 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch, throws a 4-seam slider, splitter, and a slurve, and a 2-seam, not a sinker. I wish they would have given him the sinker again. He does have outlier on this fastball. Now, what makes him great is the fact that he's a lefty, and then his delivery is also very glitchy when it comes to the players being able to pick up what pitch is coming. Maybe people have caught on and they know how good the big unit is, or they know how to read his pitches well. That's what I meant to say. But to me, I'm going to take that risk since there are not a lot of great left-handed starting pitchers and pick up Randy Johnson. Number 2 is going to be Hammerin' Hank. His numbers are amazing when you look at hitting attributes by themselves. And then at right field, 89 fielding, 83 reaction is diamond fielding once you parallel him up once, and he'll always have gold reaction. With 76 speed, that's also great. His quirks are also amazing. Last but not least is David Wright. He plays third base or shortstop. You can move him over to shortstop and he will still be an amazing shortstop. Only difference is that he will have gold reaction until you get him to parallel 5 or parallel 4 at shortstop. Great quirks as well. A little bit less than Hammerin' Hank, and that's the reason why we push him over to third base. Plus, he plays third base, and we've seen already all the good third basemen we can get. Side note, if you are going to use David Wright, you can't use the other David Wright that gives you the captain boost. I know this video was kind of late. I should have done it a little bit earlier, and we're going to do that for set 3, but I hope you guys find it helpful. Have a blessed day and night. Stay positive, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.